Modifying Nerf guns. Why do we do it? Because man has an insatiable thirst for power and we always want more. Plus also there's a label that says do not, and as humans, you know, we have big red button syndrome. There's also another reason why we modify the weapons, and that's down to the ammo type. Now, there's two main types of ammunition used in common Nerf there. You've got a streamlined dart and a whistler dart. Now, the difference is obviously this head on that one is a lot thicker, that one is slimmed down, so that'll fit in the magazine. So you'd think any gun would be able to fire all of the ammunition. Well, not that one. There we go. Dave was always a willing test subject. Doesn't work. Put in the ammunition they provided with the gun,
yes, sir.
And it does. However, if I take this modified one, same dart, oh, and there we go. That's one of the reasons why we do it. The second reason is if you don't fancy buying the ammunition, which can be quite expensive, you can make your own. And one of the modifications is at the end of this barrel there, you see there's a peg directly in the middle. I don't know if you can see that on the close-up camera or not. There's a peg in the middle. If you make your own ammunition, obviously, unless you put a big massive hole in it, it won't go in. So one of the common mods is to break that out. You can load in your own ammunition. Which, if you want to learn more about that, if you go on the internet and look for Nerf darts Stefan, that's S-T-E-F-A-N, because it was named after the person that designed this homemade dart, and you can learn how it's made and so forth. Right, how do we get more power out of these things? So it's quite simple really, because all these guns, to comply with the American health and safety laws, have got an air restrictor in, so it restricts the amount of air that comes out the piston to the dart, and then obviously off sailing towards some 4-year-old. So the best thing to do is to actually punch those air restrictors out. Right. So just going to open this one. This gun here is the Scout. You can pick it up as a 2-pack. They're very rarely sold as a single piece. Well, that's the insides there, and you've got just basically a plunger tube which goes over the barrel, big spring at the back, and there's a catch which the trigger pushes out of the way. When we pull the plunger apart, there's an O-ring there that provides you seal, and this assembly in the back is the air restrictor. So we'll put that aside. Now, I will say in terms of tools, an assortment of screwdrivers, because you can never find a screwdriver that will fit, especially since on a lot of these guns the screws are down long holes, and you'll find that you'll get a screwdriver that just may not fit. But what we're going to do with the knife here, this is the point of no return, is you take the O-ring off, clean off some of the lubricant. I don't know if we've got any tissues around or anything.
Just over the top of the computer there.
That'll do. Obviously, these guns come lubricated. It's always best to keep them lubricated because it's still plastic grinding against plastic. So clean the lubrication off, take the O-ring out, and you only want to come in just a couple of millimeters in and just gently score around. Because what you want to do is not cut off so much of this barrel material away, but you want to get it so you cut off where the plug in the end here has been glued in. And this is actually one of the more trickier guns to do. There are others which are very easy, and then there are others which are pigs, to put it bluntly. I haven't got a set of pliers with me here, so it's a case of finding something small enough you could actually jam in and pry it out.
Sorry, okay.
No worries. I think I haven't cut deep enough. Yeah, I didn't cut deep enough on there.
Medical forceps?
Both? That might do.
It's a bit too big.
Mind you, half the problem with stuff that's had lubrication on it is actually trying to get a grip of the thing.
Take my little man off as well.
Just try cutting that a bit more. But yeah, this is one of the funnier ones to do because you actually have to cut the barrel away.
Yeah,
On hindsight, I shouldn't have started this one. I should have started with the very simpler knife finder there, because that one can literally fall apart in your hand. And once again, your gun may vary because, from the looks of things, the manufacturers like to use a different amount of glue to hold each one in. And from the looks of that, they decide to put a lot in. There we go. So that's the end cap off. You obviously want to try and do a neater job than this. And there is a spring. And that is an air restrictor. If you look in the end there, you'll see you've got the centre peg and then there's slots all the way around it. These prongs fit in slots, and as the air goes through it actually pushes up against that, so it's sort of blocking the hole, stopping the air going through. So we don't want any of that. So I want to try and neaten up what you've left of the barrel around here. If you've got a file, this does make the job a lot easier. As such. Right. In there, if you want to get rid of the prong in the middle, if you've got a set of pliers small enough, which I don't think these are, so we're going to have to resort to plan B. Take a screwdriver, wedge it in the smaller holes, and then find something heavy.
You're not using me.
The scientific approach.
The scientific approach.
If it doesn't work, use a bigger hammer.
Remember, there is no such thing as excessive force. There's only not enough and a bit too much. But you basically want to fatigue the plastic that's inside just so it breaks out. And one thing, 2, 3, there's that bit out. So there we go. Now we can use that to load modified darts. Now we'll want the end cap, and I haven't got any glue with me, but you would glue that back on after you've trimmed off any excess of barrel that was still stuck on it. If you pull out glue from that pocket, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, you glue that one back on, but you don't glue it all the way up because you want to leave the groove there for the O-ring to sit on. Hopefully that will seat. It probably won't, but I'll be taking this one home and fixing it up anyway. Right, O-ring back on. Bike chain grease is a good lubricant for this stuff. So you'd put a spray in there, and then the plunger should sit back over. It probably won't, because that's the end cap come out. Assemble it all back together and you end up with that, which you can see down the end the piece has been removed. And what it should do now is fire all the types of ammunition and fire it further. There are other little cheap ways you can modify power, and that is to put some coins behind there. and then it'll help compress the spring a bit more, and then obviously more compression you get on the spring, the more power it will release when it lets go. That's very common with these pistols there because it's known as the penny mod. You just chuck about 4 pence behind the spring, you get a nice increase in power. So that is the Scout pistol. If you are stuck at any point with reassembling these, you can't figure out, which piece goes where, there are numerous sites and numerous YouTube videos where people have modified all this stuff before. So just check them out. Hopefully this one will behave and be a lot better. This is one of the easiest ones to modify. It's also one of the most powerful when it is modified. There we go.
With a song, missile.
Or so you think. Don't worry, I'll
That's
pick
the
them up
rumor you're
later.
spreading.
With the right costume, it'll be fine.
I've seen photos of the gun.
But you
Side
can't be
on.
100% sure.
I would put
This one you
serious
have to
money
be
on
a
it.
touch more careful with because there is electronics inside. And it's up to you if you want to use them electronics or gut them out. Many people will take the simple red LED that's in there and swap it out for a laser pointer. So you actually get a true laser pointer target on it. This one here, the barrel is actually held in 2 screws. So we will undo them. Now this one is a bit different to the Scout pistol in that this got a direct plunger. Because there's 2 different types of plunger systems. You've got the reverse plunger, which was what was with that Scout pistol, where the plunger goes over the barrel. This one is the direct plunger, where it's actually inside, as you can see there. And we've got all that nasty air restrictor gubbins there. We don't have to do anything with that. That's perfectly fine. If you look here, you see there's 2 ridges either side. There we go. We just want to take out the back ridge. Be wary because there is actually a little tab there. A little tab there which holds it in place. And yes, if you're not sure how to use knives, ask your mummy and dad to help you.
Or suffer a sharp reduction in the number of fingers.
Yeah.
Easy to ask for parents.
So what we want to do is we just want to go around this ridge, and we're just literally just cracking the glue that's holding it together. A much sharper knife than this would be helpful. And before anyone asks, yes, I have cut myself doing this, and
Yes,
it hurts, but I don't care.
Got blood spurt.
Yeah, all we want to do is we just want to fracture the glue,
well worth it when you've got a bit more powerful gun for shooting crisp with.
pretty much.
This is what it's all about, really, isn't it?
If they started selling Nerf guns with a comes with a handy crisp with it to shoot at, sales would skyrocket.
Well, I still can't see why you can't chain to something when you shoot it.
Because it's fun to watch them flail around.
Yeah, no. What it is, just
Just enough
Chris,
chain.
we decided to just shooting with any.
That went well.
You haven't bust it.
I have busted that end.
Oh, no.
Different.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I got rid of that bit there, so we're still going to keep attempting to get that. The good thing is that this is mostly made out of polystyrene and ABS, so polycement and super glue will hold things back together.
If you completely
Pretty
bugger
well.
that, if you completely bugger that one, I'll swap it for a working one. Because if I'm going to build River Song's gun, it will be firing.
Yeah. Will be or won't be firing?
Won't be, because I'll be putting lights in it instead.
All right. Yeah, I'll probably take the plunger tube out of that one then. Right. Is obviously the problems of working on camera.
Here's one we cocked off earlier.
You can't edit that bit out.
Here's what we made earlier.
Here's one we screwed up earlier.
Yep, pretty much. Isn't it funny when you say things like, oh, this is the easiest thing to do, and the minute you're asked to do it,
All goes horribly
it
wrong.
all goes horribly wrong.
Yeah. This is so simple a child could do it. Yeah, a child
Brilliant
with
child.
PhD and years of training.
Well, look at
I
this.
will warn you, when you go looking on YouTube for videos on how to mod this, about 70% of them are small children, so you will have annoying child voice speaking to you. I would not recommend putting them on mute and relying on the YouTube captions either, because they're just awful.
They're actually really 30-year-olds, they're just doing voice changes.
No, just shove it through a pitch shifter. Sound like a 10-year-old kid. Oh, cool!
So you're trying to remove the cap off that bullet.
It and the
It
best.
is, it's...
Yeah. Tough stuff on them, isn't
As I said, they tend to use a varying amount of super glue to hold things together. Obviously with this one, they've decided to use a lot more than that one which I did. Because there was one which literally just fell apart on me.
It's the little guy in China who's making
This one missed one for time. We make it super strong and piss him off.
Pretty much.
Just made on Monday morning when they filled the
Yeah.
filled the
Put the
food
fish supply
container.
in, yeah.
It wasn't fall apart. That's the Friday night lemon.
Yeah. I've done the 1,000, can I go home now?
Oh, it's all gone horribly wrong. But yes, in terms of the other mods that you can do, this is all the basic pistol stuff. The rifles at the end there, most of that is actually cosmetic. The minigun there is the Nerf Vulcan.
It doesn't fire, correct me if I'm wrong.
It doesn't fire in that condition. If I took the rotating barrel off, yes, it will fire. I originally did that as a prop, basically.
Should remote contagion, isn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't be firing that just because it's in a non-firing state as is. I'll have to unscrew the front barrel. But that one is based off the Havoc fire as it's known in the UK, or the Vulcan as it's known in the States. It doesn't have the minigun barrel on the front normally, that's something I've made.
Can you running around with that? Hold that for a little while.
That one
That's more my style.
is a Nerf Recon. However, that has been beefed up with some metal parts, because there is now a company in the United States called Orange Modworks, which is a there, which are providing metal replacement parts.
Responded to market forces, I think.
Sorry.
They responded to people constantly shooting with plastic darts and so they do it.
There are adults, they will spend more money on this than kiddies.
I can't believe that
Absolutely.
Jamie turned down a chance to use his Vulcan on Chris. He's at home. Chose not to run it.
That's a shame. That is a criminal shame. You should be ashamed. It's bad parenting.
Well, the Stampede is still in its box in the cupboard since I bought it
There we go.
12 months ago.
So yes, realistically, you're trying to get
The cap
that end cap off.
Yeah.
As you notice, there's a little lip piece there, so you can easily place it back on with some glue. And then there's your air restrictor out the back. Now, with this one, you've got the cap where the air restrictor sat. You want to remove that. Nice set of cutters, and you should be able to get in there. 3 prongs. Please work on the first try. Yes, you have. And there we go. So we've got a nice clear air tube. So you reassemble it all. I've taken the peg out on that end. Obviously you want to use a knife to clean it up. Obviously that bit would still be attached on the end. and then it all goes back in. Once again, if you're unsure, there are plenty of guides on the internet. And in terms of other mods, you do have the ability to have 2 AA batteries there, so you can power any lights. No. In fact, this is one of the few guns that actually has a battery compartment built onto it for a purpose that doesn't involve firing the gun itself.
Right.
And just want to sit in place. Unfortunately, this is one of the things where you need like octopus hands.
Yeah. It's usually fixed with a bit of glue and stuff, so it's not really.
Yeah, everything can be fixed with a bit of glue on these things. The question is how much glue. And then we will just screw the barrel in place. And I'll be interested to see if this will actually fire. We'll crack the barrel at the front. So we will have a look as soon as I can get that screw in. There's a nice tip with screwing into plastic is to start off unscrewing it, and then you'll feel where the screw will drop into its original thread it cut in the plastic, and then you can screw as per normal. Because if you just screw in willy-nilly, you'll strip the original thread. I see you've been well versed in that before.
Oh yes, I really can't change this one ever again. Hang on, how can I melt this steel screw out?
Soldering iron is usually the good one for that.
Yeah,
You can
I found a mini drill, but
Well, my husband makes model, cast iron model, makes it as a model steam stuff. And you can even use that with metal before dropping the screw back in or putting it back
It's
and then,
good practice.
yeah. Because I
Hmm?
nearly did that. So
Messes around with
try
live
out that.
steam.
Yep, I am a live steam engineer.
So, yeah.
Fun stuff.
Wrong stuff, yeah.
Right.
So how much more kit would you be looking to get with that then? Because obviously if you...
How much of a power increase? These pistols with the direct plungers are actually very good. I will see if I can fire this one holding it together.
Wow.
Yep. Yep. The biggest tell for those darts is by their name, whistlers. They will whistle when they go through the air. Most stock guns, when they fire them, they don't do it because they're not travelling fast enough. That's just a clear indication that it is. I'm not going to bother with them because they are an absolute pig. But the simple thing is the air restrictor is not in the gun, it's in the round turret here. And you unscrew it, you take this section out, and then you've got to lever this grey section off. You basically get your screwdriver in there and pry this end cap off. If you take the other one off, it's not the end of the world, it's just a bit more fiddly. But there's a little orange plug. I use that one. A little orange plug in there. That's been pressed onto a knurled rod. So you have to lever it off to get it out. And then you unscrew the turret at this end and the air restrictors will fall out. Rather than take them out like that, actually sorry, you take that bit out in the spring, but the piece that's got the rod on, just remove the rod and put the disc back in, because otherwise it won't make a seal. That's another mod as well which is common, which is the gunslinger mod. Because as you can see, that one only comes out that far, which is hopeless for loading because you can only do 1 or 2 at a time. All this requires is there's a little nub on there and you just cut it away. And there's a notch on the underside here, you cut that away and then you can literally gunsling it. So that's the basic mods on that. Once again, YouTube, loads of videos about that. Very simple. And aesthetic mods, such as the minigun there, is all down to your imagination. For example, I have, for a tank girl cosplay, a tank cannon. That started out life as one of them. And the other mods you do, especially with these sort of guns, are the electrical mods, which is adding more power. These run off 3 AA batteries, so 4.5 volt. Inside this one is an 8.4 volt rechargeable battery. And in terms of power, that's the basic motors for that one, and you get sort of that. This one a lot more power in there, just because you've increased the voltage, it's spinning the flywheels inside faster, so you get more power out of the shot.
So are there no restrictors on those ones then?
There's no restrictors because it's a flywheel gun.
Oh, right.
Basically, there's 2 counter-rotating wheels inside. The dart gets pushed between the 2, and it just gets shot straight out the end. The faster you make the wheels go, the further it will go. That's a simple thing. You've probably seen as well, if you've been looking on the market, Nerf's new Vortex guns. Now these are different in that they use a disc. So you're probably going to say, oh, what can I do to make that more powerful? Simple answer is, not a lot. Instead of using air plungers and so forth, there's a throwing arm on a torsion spring. But other people have been trying to strengthen these torsion bars, and they have been cracking. So my advice for these sort of guns is not to bother increasing the power, which you don't need to do because the range on these is more than enough, and that was still climbing, so that would carry on probably into the next room, no doubt. They're commonly used in a Nerf game called Humans vs. Zombies, which is very popular in the United States. Basically, university students start off one as a zombie, and then they gather more zombies as they catch people. So you can imagine having a gun that could shoot a very long range is helpful, because then you can run away quicker. So you get the power of these, which gives you the range. However, the new guns have the range already, so you don't have to worry too much about power. But that's about it, really, in terms of why we do it and how we do it. Any questions?
I take with the Vortex guns, they're all manuals thus far.
There is an electronic flywheel gun for the Vortex line. I don't have it because it cost me £50. And they've learned from the previous flywheel gun here, in that when you turn this one on, you're walking around with that. So there's no way you can sneak up on someone. They've actually put a second button on the trigger. So you hold that button and it turns the motors on, and then you pull the trigger and it will start firing the discs.
Like a Glock safety.
Yeah, that's something EBBs have got in. Secondary.
This one here, there's another easy mod you can do, but it requires a bit of soldering, and is that instead of having it switch on like that, you can have it so that, turn that one there, it's all off, but when I start pulling,
Two-stage trigger.
pretty much, because for this on-off switch, they've actually put a pressure switch behind it. The switch is just literally a ramp that pushes it down. So you can just move that switch with a little extra wire underneath the trigger, glue it in place, and then you've got, before you can actually start firing. That's another simple mod on there. In terms of the really big stuff such as the Vulcan and the Stampede, I would not bother modifying the Vulcan because people have done it and they've gained about 3 feet extra on range. The Vulcan is primarily a spray and pray gun. Area suppression, really. The Stampede I haven't tweaked around with myself personally, However, that gun I'm quite happy with in its stock form. There's no need to do anything. However, because they are electric guns, people have overvolted them. I've seen one that runs off 18 volts, and it goes as it's very much like a machine gun. But then it went so fast it started shredding the bullets out of the magazine.
Probably shredded the gears as well.
No, actually, it's all quite robust.
Really?
It was just because it was shredding the darts. Obviously, it jammed up the mechanism, so can't do much with that. But that's the basics of the modifications, really. And of course, now I've got to piece all this lot back together.
What keeps you off the streets?
Keep you out of mischief for an hour or so?
Pretty much.
Oh yes, black screws on a brown carpet.
Yeah.
Yep, that'd be fun. I should have mentioned this as well right at the start of the panel. The advice I give to you today is merely advice. Please be careful when you modify them. Please don't shoot anyone in the face, because it does hurt. Wear eye protection when you're actually in combat, and happy nerfing.